It's in Jordanville, New York. It's in the middle of
and then go south.
it's in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York.
So Rosemary, I went there about probably 45 years ago, and we went in. We stayed the day. All the monks were praying all together because the printing press had died. So they were all praying to get the printing press to work again.
Well, it must have worked because it was working when we were there. A bunch of monks were thrown out of Czechoslovakia. This is again during the Soviet era, and they end up in Jordanville with the printing press, and that's how they got into the printing business. And they were printing prayer books and, religious tracts. They became based in upstate New York. Cornfields. It's wild. They became really the protector of the Russian Orthodox culture and church religion at a time when the Soviets were wiping it out in Russia. So it's just a fascinating place.
And do they all wear the classic, very
some
thick
had
beards?
the big beards. They all had the long black robes. The architecture of the place is amazing because you're driving through Herkimer County. There is nothing there. It's fields, farm fields, and forest. And suddenly there's these onion bulbs and these giant spires that rise up, and it's the monastery. It's amazing.
And do they have a pace of the day,
They
set
do.
periods and so forth?
Yes, they do. And we had to come in. There was the gentleman who showed us around was Russian, but not a monk. He just lived in the area, and he's devoted his life to studying Russian history and church lore. And he was really knowledgeable, loved the place, best kind of docent, to have. But he was rushing us because service was going to start at 4. And, everything had to be cleared away by then. And then a group of people were coming in from Montreal, and they have actually a little bed and breakfast, $28 a night, and you can just stay there. So they were going to stay overnight and then tour. So we're definitely going back. They bake bread. We bought a loaf of it. It's about this big, and it must have weighed 14 pounds, I swear. My friend Laura said she was going to use a chainsaw to slice it into slices. But healthy monk's bread, So anyway, but you go to this monastery every year. You need to explain that to people. How did you come to be here?
Right. So I started taking Kyudo, the Japanese archery, there in 2009, and stayed with it. I love the art. It's very meditative. They take the school that I train in approaches it very meditatively. No sport aspect to this at all, as opposed to it's practiced in Japan differently now. And about 2 or 3 years ago, my teacher asked me if I would like to teach, so I started teaching first shot as well as intermediate students. And so I go back every year now, and we get there early, which is nice. We have a day and a half, almost two full days of having the monastery just all to ourselves. It's the Zen Mountain Monastery outside Woodstock. There are two Zen monasteries there, or 2 Buddhist monasteries there. One is the Zen Monastery, and the other is a Tibetan monastery that looks I'm told, very Tibetan. So I'm pretty disconnected when I go there. I make it a point not to do any, games, and I do play one game I keep up on Words with Friends and the New York Times games. We have to keep our streak going, so I jump in on Wordle and Connections and Strands. Other than that, I try to stay off. Somehow Facebook got in front of me. I don't know how this happened. And I saw that Susan Collins had made the announcement that she was going to vote against this, and she wrote out her reasons for it, and it was all the right reasons. And I thought, nobody else has done this yet. The two, Cornyn and Tillis, was it?
Yes.
Had folded. They bought the song. They got enough of a song and dance that they could be publicly satisfied with it. But Collins was, as far as I could see, first out of the gate. So maybe it was the context I was in that, you try to be kind. You're in a monastery.
Brainwashing.
Try to be generous.
Brainwashing.
Try to put your cynicism aside, your skepticism aside. You try to think the best in people. And I I thought, Susan Collins didn't wait until other people said it. She came out and did it. And I thought that was an opportunity to allow people to, maybe embolden people. And I thought, even if Cornyn and Tillis didn't do it, there might be other people, not only the ones who we knew about, Massey and
Murkowski and Kennedy.
But maybe there were others. And I thought, wow. So I made a post about that. I said, this is not a small thing. And boy, my sister jumped down my throat about it. You did. Everyone who commented on that thread disagreed with me. That basically said she is doing it because she knew she could.
Epstein survivors in her post?
Yeah,
I think she did.
She did.
I think she did.
Okay.
And Kennedy gave this heartfelt. Kennedy who has nothing to lose. He's done. Trump forced him out, as he did Tillis and Cornyn. And he sobbingly says he really thought long and hard about it and voted to put this completely inappropriate, incompetent. He's not incompetent. He's just dishonest attorney general, and that's the government we have today. Yeah. And I just wondered where the hell you were that you couldn't see that.
I gave her the benefit of the doubt for a day or a couple of days.
Do you regret it now?
I was wrong.
Are you asking our forgiveness?
No, but I was I was wrong. I don't mind being wrong about a matter of,
Yeah, trying to think well.
Of trying to think well about people. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't the wrong spirit in which I did it, but it was. I've been doing journalism for a long time. I've dealt with politicians for a long time. I should know that Susan Collins is always going to be like this.
Right.
And that's upsetting.
Right. It
bothers
is.
me.
And Kennedy, too, for that matter.
Yeah.
And the two men who accepted that meeting, that he actually sat down. I'm sorry, I'm speaking ahead of myself. Tillis said he definitely was not going to vote for Blanche until he met with the Epstein survivors. So he met with them. He sat there and basically, listened to them and then walked out. Didn't say anything, didn't promise anything, didn't apologize, didn't do anything except meet the bare bones of meat. And he did give an agreement, the written agreement, as the two senators had asked for, saying that he would renege on the slush fund deal to absolve Trump and his family from any IRS persecution, and also give money to people who were hurt by Biden.
But he can't unilaterally do that.
Of course he could not do it, and it's a meaningless piece of paper, and yet the two senators accepted it.
So how do you explain that?
It's politics.
It's infuriating.
Yeah, they want to be able to still have influence after this term. If you want to be a lobbyist, if you want to work in a public relations firm, if you want to have sway with Republican clients, you have to have an in with the Republican administration, and that's what they traded in. But to me, the whole fight, aside from teasing Jay about, wow, what happened to you, led into feelings in general that we have. And I know some of you in the audience have expressed the same, because we've talked about it. Rage and anger at maggots, as I call them. You can tell my contempt just in what I call them. But in people who not only voted for Trump, but who still support him now, after everything we know. And a friend of mine, a former journalist from Seattle, put out a really moving post, I thought, where she said, I feel like I'm watching my country fall apart, like the democracy is just coming unhinged. How can anyone support him knowing what we do? And then she began listing, and it was a very long post, and most of the comments that came after were, you forgot this, he did this. Senator Jay and I talked 2 days ago about what we should talk about today. 2 more outrages have been added: the Abraham and the treatment of sailors there, and his defiance of a court and putting his name back on to the Kennedy Center. So every day you get these things. How can they still think that way? So do we hate and have rage towards maggots? I don't want to have friends who are supporters of Trump anymore. What do you think? We talked about this.
I have cut off anybody on my Facebook page that posts stuff about, you don't realize what a genius he is. You don't really, and if you really step back from, well, we went through this with the individual who posted on your page and said, you had posted something and she said, you're obsessed. And that triggers me.
Yeah,
it does.
It is. This was.
It's interesting.
I put on several cartoons now about the whole escape from the plane incident, where you remember Trump got into a catering car, and they were very funny. And she told me that I was obsessed, and I challenged her on it. She's a friend, but I know her only vaguely. We worked at the same place years ago. And I don't remember her clearly at all, but she's very much a Trump devotee. She says she's not, but it was just the Democrats were so much worse. And to her, it was so racist. Something had to be done about all those people coming in. Do you know, she said, that the number one name in the UK right now after they opened their borders was Muhammad? That's horrible. I go, well, I lived in Jordan where everybody was named Mohammed, and it wasn't so bad. I survived it. And when did they open their borders? They passed Brexit because of racism that you're of the sort you are expressing. And the country has suffered huge economic loss and loss of productivity. They've set themselves back. It's deliberately self-destructed because they wanted to close their borders. So what's this opening their borders business?
And it's a fascinating thing. They're still blaming politicians for it, as if they can solve a problem that the whole, that they created years ago with Brexit. That's the crazy thing about it. They expect someone to ride in on a white horse and fix this without going back to Europe, to the European Union.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and this woman, this person who has occasioned this as a topic, said to me, you have granddaughters now, don't you? Do you have grandchildren now? Don't you just worry about what they're going to have to face in the future? I said, I worry about them becoming someone like you. And that's. I mean, I can't forgive them anymore. In the first term, it was very trendy to say, oh, we have to learn to talk to them and see their point of view. Are any of you having success with that now?
No, it's gotten worse.
It has.
We've talked about it. As far as my Facebook and acquaintances, I cleaned up my Facebook actually 10 years ago when I saw the writing on the wall and I saw some of my relatives and what they were saying about, at the time, President Obama, the Bidens. This is years ago. Best thing I ever did, because I would not be able to have Thanksgiving dinner or see them on a holiday and have a civil conversation if I continue to see the things that they post. So I have people in my life that I care about, that I love, that I'm not ready to totally cut off. So what we have done is that we do not discuss any politics ever. That's not a healthy thing, I think. It's not a healthy way of dealing with it. But that's all I have, because if they're telling me, you can't have a discussion because their reality is completely different than my reality. So how do you discuss something? I mean, we can discuss, like, if you want a red light at the corner of Main and Oak Street, and talk about that. But if you think that there's not even a Main and Oak Street, then you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's even, I feel like it's even more important to engage in conversations with them, because they're in their own little echo chamber. They're not hearing anything from anybody else. And I think you just have to just try and point out things that no one can be in support of.
I really think that
we paid $1.2 billion to a German company to not produce environmentally friendly wind energy. We paid them not to, while our entire planet is burning. I would ask, none of them talk to me anymore, but I would ask supporters, how does that make sense in any way, shape, or form? We pay $1.2 billion for a German company to not produce clean energy.
from what I've seen, any facts that you present to them, is an attack on them personally. And they
Yeah,
will
that's true.
push back and deny it. They never saw it, that's not true, it's fake news. There is nothing that
That's
you
true.
can say to them that, I mean, you can tell them all kinds of, you can show them statistics and studies. I mean, I was a
Right.
public health nurse. I'm in favor of vaccines. These people have always been in favor of vaccines until Trump comes along and all of a sudden, vaccines and Dr. Fauci are poison.
Right.
This is not who they were. I knew them before and I know them now. Something happened to them and facts will not get through to them.
Well, I heard I
They ate
read
the
a quote
Kool-Aid.
the other day that made sense. It's like, it said it's easier to fool someone than to convince someone that they've been fooled.
Yes.
And I
Ah.
think that's just what it is.
That's well put.
How are they-
It's just, they just cannot, face the fact that this guy is who we're saying he is. I don't understand it.
I understand though what, I appreciate that point. I love that quote.
Yes.
But Linda, you're right. It's like, as a journalist, you always thought you just tell people, give them the information, tell them what's happening, and they will make the right decision. And now it's disbelief. Trump came out the other day and said, when they were cutting back the number of vaccines, childhood vaccines, he said, yeah, they're trying to put like so many vaccines into these babies' little bottles, a soda bottle full of it. And the actual truth is that it would take 1,200 doses of vaccine to fill up a soda bottle. That does not go into any child's body in this country. And so the media prints that, but who hears it? It's like it just goes into a void.
I also feel like that's over their head. I mean, if you, clean energy, they don't believe there's climate change. So clean energy is not, it's not the best argument to use with them. I mean, I go to the very basics of racism, homophobia,
But you would
rape and abortion, but other than that, I mean, I just have been eliminating friends. I've been eliminating people who support him because I can't be friends with someone who is racist or homophobic or feels like women don't have control over their bodies. All the other stuff, I agree with wholeheartedly as well, but they don't even hear that. Like, that is out of their realm of reality.
But you would think that they would be upset at us spending $1.2 billion for someone to not do something. You would think they're supposedly fiscally responsible. You would think that that fact would like blow their minds.
You would think, but I just think it's over their heads.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not only that, but I just think they have been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they made a mistake with this guy and they're a year in and they realize that he's a jerk and oh my gosh, they made a mistake, they're not gonna do that again. They have been defending him for 10 years. How do you defend your position and yourself for 10 years and then say, oh geez, you're right, I made a 10-year mistake. I haven't noticed it, even though it's been 10 years. They can't do that. I mean, that's a blow to their
Unless you
ego.
get something so heinous that, more heinous than anything that's ever happened in the last 10 years, whatever that's going to be, that gives a person a quote unquote graceful way out of this cult.
Well,
I'm asking
if military families are
Well,
finally
that's-
at that point, because this week is finally coming out what's happened on the Abraham.
Yep.
No food, no decent food, moldy showers. You read it all. I don't have to repeat all that. And the conditions are horrible, and the military is totally responsible for it. Trump is responsible for it. His action was, no, the families don't really care. You've made this up. I mean, it's in the news everywhere. The families are talking to everyone. He's just denying it. But
And they don't-
60%
they
of
don't wanna come
military
out.
people and their families voted for Trump.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that they deserve what they got, although I'm a bad person and actually I think that a little. It's not I'm saying they deserve it, but have they learned the lesson?
No.
Well, couldn't Caroline leave?
Look what happened with the whole Normandy thing when he was flying out there, and a general later said he called them suckers, he called them losers. It doesn't matter.
There was an interview
And there's
this
a reason
morning
it
with
doesn't
Erin
matter, I think.
Brockovich on PBS, and she was talking about data centers. And she was talking about grassroots movements, people who voted for Trump, who now are seeing this particular issue and voting with their feet and doing something about it. And the issues are absolutely, I can't even, it's a really good program, you can find it on PBS. But the issues are so, it's environmental, it's about water bills, it's about sound, it's about anxiety. I mean, there are so many issues that are impacting people. But she's claiming that people on, ordinary people, for lack of a better word, and working class people are beginning to get the program, the anti-AI program, and against data centers. So I kind of like to look at the positive things. I mean, that's a positive thing in a way.
Oh God, another Pollyanna. We're surrounded by them.
Do my best.
I'm all for it.
If we have to wait for everybody to be impacted by something that might change their
Yeah.
mind, somebody who might have a data center in their backyard, or a family member of the Abraham Lincoln,
I get it.
that's not enough people. We can't wait for everybody. I mean, we have to because we have no other choice, but that's not going to be enough. And those military people, when they hear him say it's not happening, when they hear headsets say it's not happening, for people who are strong on the military, Hegseth said it's not happening. So they will believe anything, and so I don't know how you get past that.
But we do
Facts
have
don't
another
matter.
choice. We have another choice. We can take to the streets, we can make phone calls, we can send postcards. We can speak up. We do have another choice, and we need to start using our voices so that, I'm sorry, but I have I had Mitch McConnell on speed dial for a really long time now. It's not working. I post on my.
He's not answering?
Congressional, no.
You didn't talk to him for 20 minutes last
No, I
week?
did
Okay.
not. The congressional switchboard number, you can call there, you can get any legislator that you'd like to, and you just keep leaving messages every day.
Well, probably there's a lot of people here
Or all of
and
them.
everywhere. I don't know how you get other people who are just, they don't like them, but they're in la la land, they're doing nothing, and they're oblivious because, I don't know, they're
It's
oblivious.
frightening. I think they're frightened, really. I think they're unaware, they're uneducated, and it's just like, going into a dark room where you've never been in there before and you don't know anything about it. I think their gut reaction is just fear, and they're just not going to acknowledge.
We've told ourselves for too long that what happens at the presidential level doesn't affect us. If you've stood at, many of you have, at those bridges where you hold up the signs, the bridge brigades, and some people honk at you in support, that's cool, you get that. Some people give you the finger, that's not cool, but you also get that.
Double
But a whole
unicorns,
bunch
I
of
call
them,
them.
yes,
Double
double horn.
unicorn.
But a whole bunch of people just drive by like they don't even see it. And that's true, and that's how we vote in this country too. If all the people who had stayed at home had actually voted, we might not be in this situation to begin with.
There are two things that I'm really serious. I relate to every single word I heard this afternoon. But there are two things that I'm profoundly concerned about. The first, aside from the rage, which is, as I said to Jay, uncontainable, to me, even more dangerous than the rage is the fact that more and more in my limited circle, what I see are people who are not full of rage, but people who are infused with indifference.
Yeah.
People who have stopped reading, stopped listening, and who don't care no matter what you show to them. So that's my first concern, is this level of indifference, even among my own family members, my circle, limited as it is. But the second thing that catches my attention in listening to this is that we are saying exactly what they are saying. And any sentence that begins, as many of mine do, with they are, they think this, they do that, if we're all categorizing each other in the same way and pointing and saying and putting us all in little groups, you're right. How many of our friends can we just cut off our Facebook page? How many people can we stop listening to? I don't think that will advance anything. As much as I'd like to try to live that way to keep my sanity, as limited as that may be at this point, I don't think that advances anything. Because all we do is stop listening to each other, and then nothing happens. So that's not the world I want to leave to my children and grandchildren. And I don't think anything will change until each one of us in this room changes. And by that I mean stops eliminating people from our Facebook pages and starts listening to try to understand that if nothing else, they hate us as much as we hate them.
Oh, I
That may be
understand
the only
that.
point of commonality that exists, but it's a starting point.
It's a hell of a starting point.
I don't
It's
block
not a
anybody from my
starting
page.
point.
I've been blocked by numerous people. I'm
But
happy
how-
to have a Discord with.
We just can't keep blocking
I
everybody.
don't block anyone.
Do you know
but
what I mean?
I actually wish that what you have on Facebook to block people you had in real life, just like, I never have to hear from you again. That would be so
I
good.
don't
You can
block
do
people.
that,
I try
but
to
it's possible.
persuade people, but they
People
don't.
are strange.
Oh, well, let me ask this. Trump believes he's a transformational president, maybe the best that ever
Better than it
lived.
was.
Better than ever was, right? You all have heard it. So come up with 3 things that he's done that were good. Can you do it?
Three?
I did this exercise.
He got rid of the penny.
The penny, I agree. The penny is one. I don't have to take off my shoes when I go to the airport anymore. Number 2.
They will say he closed the borders.
Unification of Europe.
Good. That's a good one, David.
Thank you.
David, you get credit for that.
What else?
There's quite a flip side
He
to
made
that.
because Europe cannot depend on the United States.
Yeah.
They have come together.
That's
I'm sorry.
quite a flip side to that, though. The fact that we are not committed to Europe like we used to be.
Yes.
Well,
But,
we're the
you
laughing
know,
stock of Europe.
what?
We're the
So what-
laughing stock of Europe.
Okay, well, I would also add, he is actually pretty effective at getting back prisoners, American prisoners held in lands ruled by dictators, because he gets along with the
You have to
dictators.
ask why, though.
He's gotten a lot back. That's a good thing.
Is there a quid pro quo?
So where are you going with this?
Yeah.
That if we're supposed, okay, I think that she just made an argument that we have to try to see the other side. We have to talk and live with these
Well,
people.
try to not see the other side, but try to acknowledge. Listen, I may disagree with every single thing you say, think, and do, but I can still be in a room and sit next to you and have a conversation about something, or try to see the humanity in who you are, or try to understand something about myself and my own behavior. And when I sit in these salons where I love to come, I always leave with something more than what I came in with, but it's usually not what I expected to get here. And what it is, often, is that I do have this sense of duality. And I'm watching a lot more, God help me, Fox News than I ever did, just to try to understand how do people other than I think about things or look at the world. And I'm shocked by how much we hate each other. I'm shocked by that. That hurts my heart. But how is it going to change if I just keep becoming estranged from my own family members, which I do, because I can't. The same as I feel exactly the same way as all of you feel.
Right.
But I don't think that I can change it unless, please don't make a face, I change myself.
But I don't get it. That's why I
what-
tried. Like, okay, what good
what
things
did-
did he do? And I can think of things. I still hate him, and I hate the people
You
who
can
support
hate him,
him.
but what will make a difference ultimately?
An election in
More
which we
no
turn
kings
him out,
Yeah,
or a
that is-
heart
They're not
attack.
even going anymore. They're not even going to the no kings. What is going to save?
Wait,
our-
wait. Who's not going to New Kings?
Well, no, the demonstrations, last time we were here, we talked about that. The numbers were down. People didn't even know we had one, or maybe there wasn't one in Albany.
There wasn't one.
I can only, through my own limited filter, people don't want to listen anymore. And, that's not a good place to be.
I do sense exhaustion out
I
there.
don't know if this
Jay,
is true nationwide.
exhaustion, that's the word.
It
I don't know if this
Exhaustion.
is true nationwide, but in Pownell, Vermont, we have 2,400 registered voters. 325 people voted in our primary.
Wow.
There you go. There you go. So why can't we do
Shocking.
why can't we make everybody vote? I mean, that's obscene.
He has really
Oh,
just
but how do we
called
make-
into question
I
every established.
How do you make, but
I
they can
mean,
do
you
that.
can, I think Australia, I don't know, they fine people if they don't vote or something
You
like
have
that.
to, I believe you pay
I mean-
fine. I'm not saying I wanna live in Australia, I love it, I don't wanna live there.
Right.
But,
I don't know
but they
how
have
else
it,
you can make
you have to
people vote,
vote,
you
it's
know.
not an option, you have to vote. The voting numbers here are,
But what,
Very
there's gotta be a
horrible.
punishment if it's gonna be.
it's
effective.
embarrassing, nobody cares. That's what we have,
So,
that's the problem,
getting-
nobody cares.
Getting back to.
But why?
You know,
And-
keeping
and-
lines open, have you had any success with personally in dealing with a Trump supporter how do you do that
I
in your own
appreciate
life?
hearing you say that, because I think what I've learned in trying to look at myself, which is so hard for me, or anybody, is that the best I can do is accept that I see things differently. That's the best I can do. I see things differently, but I can still see you. And I can stop saying, what is wrong with you? You're so stupid, you're so ignorant. How could you even think that? I could just go out of my mind with some of the people in my world. But I've tried to take fewer drugs and just accept the fact that, which I don't really do, to try to accept the fact that I see you, but I see you in a different way. And I think that's the way we begin, because honestly, nothing else is working.
And what's the reaction that you get when you do that?
I think the edge is down. The edge is down a bit.
Wow.
I think-
Because I have the opposite reaction.
Well, that's
I try
all-
and keep
again,
everything as factual, as non-confrontational. I don't insult people, I don't call them names. The vitriol all comes from the other side. It all comes from the other side. I try to be a kind person in everything I say and do, and I'm an educator. I try to feel like I'm educating people, and I don't think I say it in a hoity-toity way. I'll say, well, just consider this, that blah, blah, X, Y, and Z has happened. And they'll call me a libtard and
Because I think that's the
Democrat
error.
and all this stuff, and I'll say, well, that's not really contributing to this discussion. Can you expound on that?
I will go further. I do insult them right back. I'm good at name calling, but okay,
You in my
you
head.
try.
But you do that when you try
try.
to show them, or try to teach them, or try to educate
No, they don't
them.
listen. I'm a journalist. I like a
When
teacher.
they do it to me, I don't want to be taught.
All right, so then when they say to you, oh no, it's perfectly fine that he's defying a court order and putting his name back on the Kennedy Center. No, it's perfectly fine that he earned $2.2 billion in corruption last year because, all the other presidents did it too. It's perfectly fine, name any of the other things, that he can spend money on gold gigas throughout the White House, but he can't feed people. How do you actually sympathize with that and say, yeah, you may be right?
I don't think you have to say they're right. I don't think you have to sympathize with them. I think the key is to say that you feel differently. Instead of trying to show them how wrong they are, which is what I'm really good at. I love to do that to people. But I've learned to try at 78 and a half to do a little less of that and not to try to show them that, if you would just look at it this way, don't you see what he's doing? They can't. It's like asking someone who's blind how to drive. They can't do it. They can't do it. Just like we can't.
So it's hopeless. There's no way
I'm
to
not saying
change
it's
it.
hopeless. I'm saying just the opposite. I'm saying
I don't
they
see
have
any
the
hope in what you're
capacity.
telling me.
Well, they don't have the capacity for us to show them the way. But I do think that if the consequences fall where they fall, and if we allow things to play out the way they do, there are consequences. I don't mean to say that we should stop believing, stop doing, stop trying, but to try to make sure they see it the way we see it, I think that's going to fail 100% of the time, because I'm not willing to see it the way they see it.
But I keep coming back to how do they see it, and as a few people have noted, the line of outrage, the thing that causes outrage, just keeps shifting under our feet. So if it is constantly said, and it to the point that you just kind of roll your eyes when you hear it. If Obama had done this,
Right.
Yeah.
if Clinton had done this, if a Democratic president had done this, we have gone from outrage to outrage to outrage to outrage, and the goalpost keeps moving. And I think it keeps. I started reading a book, picked it up in the monastery. Actually, I have a bookstore there called "The Quaking of America." It's by the same author who wrote "My Grandmother's Hands," which I have not read. But I've only just started this, but he gets a good point early on that this is not, there's a whole bunch of things that the MAGA movement may be, but at its root, it is a white movement.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and it is, you're not nothing else really matters in all that. When you start from that foundation, as long as he persecutes immigrants, as long as he stands behind white nationalists, as long as he represents a kind of a John Bircher, what he has been his whole life too. I mean, this is not something he invented for politics. It goes all the way back to racial discrimination with his father's rental operation, and it goes back to the Central Park Five and not even believing that they're innocent when it's been proven that they're innocent. It goes back to the birther controversy, all this stuff. And I think that's why we see people are so willing to just, okay, if he thinks everything's okay on the Abraham Lincoln, even though people are going crazy over there, no problem. Even if the families were to come out, which I think they're terrified to, nobody wants to put a mark on, a target on their kid's back. It just, the fact that veterans don't, there are groups of veterans that do care about this, and they post about it, and they're very vociferous about how bad a president he is when it comes to the military. I think what's more troubling is that they want $1.5 trillion for the next military budget. And the thing that just came out this week with the gloves, these electric gloves. I tried to write an editorial. I did write an editorial for Tuesday on this subject. And as I was writing it, I reached the point where I said, no matter which side of the aisle Congress is on, a poorly trained force of 22,000 people who are out on the street now, who have killed 2 Americans so far, killed multiple legal residents, have detained thousands and thousands of people. Thousands and thousands is a bit. It's within the 2,000 to 4,000 range of people who have been wrongfully detained. When you take that and now you're going to give them things that you just hit a switch on your hand and you can torture somebody. This is nuts. And this is, the Republicans should agree, over-policing. That kind of force you do not want in this country. But as I was writing those words, I was saying to myself, they're not going to care.
That's right, Jay.
Because he has framed this, and they have framed this in a way that they have made brown people subhuman.
That's right. I agree.
And when he goes, Jay, what percentage of all of this is going to go away? Ask yourself that. Is it going to stop when he's out of office?
That's what I want to know. What happens to the Republican Party post-Trump? Because all this is still there at the base. That white supremacy, the racism, the religious right. What happens
It's all still
after
there.
Trump?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, we don't know.
It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away, Jay.
So, well, I guess that's why.
Well, it's because
That's why you have to think about this, because it won't go away, Jay, when he's gone.
I respect your approach to it.
Thank you.
I
We just
find
disagree with
that
you.
I could not, I can't divide my energy
appreciate
quite
that.
that much.
Thank you.
That, it takes too much energy out of
I
me
appreciate that. Thank
to do
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It does stop after Trump if the Democrats let it to. Biden did not go far enough. He might have.
But the prejudice is still there.
Well,
The prejudice is still there. The prejudice was always there. We didn't have a problem until Trump. I hate that argument
No,
that,
it
Trump
started
is
with
only the
Reagan.
symptom.
It started with Reagan.
Yeah. It was controlled under Reagan. It was controlled under Bush's. It went crazy under Trump.
Yes.
It's different now than it ever has been because it was controlled, and it could be controlled again if we made laws. We talked about it here in former salons about what could the Democrats do once they're back in power. They could change impeachment laws. They could change pardon laws. They could change emolument clause so that it's actually enforceable. They could change all of the rules that Trump is delighting in breaking, starting with,
And they're not enforcing those laws.
No.
who is they? Who is they not? The Republicans
Well,
are not.
the
I'm talking about,
Justice Department.
because it's controlled by Trump. You have to have the Democrats back in control. And I don't love the Democrats. I think they've made tons of mistakes. I don't think they're as bad as the Republicans. I hate that argument too, but they could make changes.
But Rosemary, how did one person make this happen?
Not one
How did-
person,
well, how did
Congress
someone-
makes it
But
happen.
how did it happen? You're saying it wasn't this bad.
And there wasn't
But
one,
how did it coalesce under him?
I think
because
partially
he is a
it was
charismatic,
white left
strong
to,
leader.
Obama. I mean, I
don't
think,
this
remember the
country's
Tea
divided.
Party that in Obama's very early,
Oh, gee, boy.
that kind of, you know, and then they kind of went underground, and we thought, it seemed like they kind of gone away, but they haven't gone away.
Oh, there
I
were
mean,
John
there's
Birchers
something
back in
on
the
it.
70s. They've always been there.
So
But
I
Trump
think-
has been a charismatic national leader who has been an absolute great instrument for the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. And where is the Democratic leader and the Democratic plan? That's what's
Where's
required.
Trump, by the way? Where is that?
I don't
What's the
feel
answer
like
to
we
that?
can bounce back. I think this country is doomed. I think that we're not gonna see it because we'll all be dead. But I think this country will divide up into more than one country, which is what I
Wow.
think it should have been in the first place.
I think we're
Wow.
I think he's.
Wow, radical.
Jenny, over here.
You're one of those radical leftists I keep hearing about.
Wow, Antifa.
I think he's a Russian asset, and while he's
Oh, yes,
working
he
for
is.
all our money.
Yeah, I agree.
while
Between
he's-
that and AI jumping out of the sandbox, we're all dead. I mean, really,
While he's
right?
working for all our money and all of our military weaponry, we are gonna be wide open for.
That is
I-
right.
You know, and when Elon Musk was in charge of Doge, and all of a sudden I know, well, he's got, because I get my social security, delivered to me, electronically. Now he's got my bank account information, he's got everything he needs. I wouldn't be surprised to wake up some morning and find all my assets have been frozen and Vladimir Putin sitting in the White House. I would not be shocked or surprised. I would say, yeah, well, that's what I thought they were doing all
Well,
along.
that requires competence.
Well, it requires competence, but there is competence somewhere in there because we're dealing with all
I
this. And
haven't
the
found it
Heritage,
yet.
well, the Heritage Foundation is implementing they're checking off all their list and they're being pretty effective at it. We
They
don't
are.
trust our voting anymore, we don't trust our news
Yeah, they're very
anymore,
good at
we
it,
don't
yeah.
trust
That's true.
any of our institutions anymore. Khrushchev, I go back to Nikita Khrushchev saying they were gonna dismantle us from the inside. And I think that this has been a concerted effort. And I know, we all sound like conspiracy theorists.
No, it's
now, but-
okay.
But it just, I can't understand, he couldn't do Putin any more favors if they were holding hands in front of us. It's just, none
But
of
there's
it.
still Zelensky who's got his drones and he's
It's- it is like-
kicking his butt, Putin's
Yeah.
butt,
I'm
yeah.
gonna say, who else had a new Medicare card come in the mail like I did, with no explanation, that they had to change my number?
Really?
Yep, it's legitimate, other people I know, yeah, not a lot of
Wow.
people. You get a new Medicare card in the mail, and it says you have a new number, and if you go online to find out, it is legitimate, but no one can tell you why.
Well, that's interesting.
That sounds interesting.
Yep.
That's scary.
Okay,
That
well,
was a
we're gonna
little
find out
scary,
Monday.
Well,
Write that
you
down,
people are
Jay.
gonna be the first, because us old people are gonna be the first ones they round up and put in their little, I don't know. I hate to sound alarmist, but I can't see anything good happening. I can't see anything good happening.
Is there any?
When they start arresting people who work for this, Southern Poverty Law,
Center.
Center, when they start arresting them, then you know that there's no good that's gonna come of this. I cannot.
I've been watching Act Blue. They're going after Act Blue, which is a kind of nonprofit that collects money for Democratic
Yes.
candidates and causes. There is a similar Win Red for the Republicans.
Is it?
That's not being, yes, it's
I
not
never
being
even knew that.
investigated.
Southern.
And the,
But it turns out that Act Blue has done some kind of shady things, and they actually did lie to Congress.
And you saw the story in the Times today about how the U.S. Attorney in Chicago is investigating the firm of the daughter of the judge who convicted, who presided over the trial where Trump was convicted on the felonies.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
this is real political retribution going on. It's not, there's no judgment call. There's no other side to the story. This is a government run amok, and I think the Southern Poverty Law Center was a good example of
Yeah.
it. Act Blue, if they did something wrong, problem is everybody probably has
Has
done
done- yeah,
something wrong
yeah.
in the fundraising
Yeah.
business.
And we will hold ourselves themselves accountable for that, but they won't.
No.
When I-
And that brings
when I-
me to,
Right.
can I bring up a topic I want to hear you talk about? And that's Max Miller, the congressman from Ohio. That case fascinates me. He is do you know who I'm talking about? He's the Ohio congressman. He was married to Emily Moreno, whose father is the senator from Ohio. And she has accused him in a very bitter divorce and a custody battle of holding a gun to her head, of strangling her, and of actually breaking their 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. He has denied it all. Police have found that there's not credible evidence to bring a case. He says, well, that means I'm innocent because the cops didn't bring a charge. And he refused, despite Senator Moreno's belated but call to step aside. He stayed in the race, so he's running for re-election. And there is a real difference between the way Democrats treat people who are in scandal and the way Republicans do. And apparently domestic abuse and possible child abuse are not a big deal for the Republicans.
Yeah, it's so weird. Well, the guy, Plattner, being booted out of the main race.
Yes.
For essentially, it's in the same orbit of abuse. Not a wife in this case, but former girlfriends. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. It's like yes, your party should stay as clean as they can,
Right.
and they should discipline themselves. They should throw out people when, or take them out of races when they need to. The fact that Republicans won't do it, and the fact that there's no consequence for not doing it, I think that's just one more symptom of the situation. It's one more thing that points to exactly what you said. What ultimately matters is November.
Right.
I think it's interesting that when you look at local websites like WTEN or, local TV stations, when they report some criminal who's done a terrible thing, wife abuse or child abuse or something, all of these people come on there and they are quick. They should be strung up, they should be, tortured, they should be killed, which I'm not in favor of that, but I'm not arguing that point. But I wonder how many of those same people who are ready to string up the neighbor or the, local guy who did something bad, they give politicians a pass.
Right.
That's why I remind Republicans, every time I call them, I remind them that it was Republicans who found a backbone and marched into the Oval Office and told Nixon he had to leave or they were going to remove him. And I keep reminding them that they have the power to end all this. It's not going anywhere, but it makes me feel good to call them up and to remind them that they have an obligation to police their own.
But J.D. Vance has now said that Watergate would.
Oh, I know, he's trying to soften it,
He's trying to
it all up
And then it would have been over.
this administration has done so much worse. He's trying to make that, and he's, compared to this administration, that was, just a blip. It was illegal, it was immoral, and it was wrong, and the Republicans did the right thing. They were capable of doing the right thing back then. Now I don't.
It's another instance of why I think Trump is the symptom,
Yes.
and more than just a symptom, excuse me, because he has no shame.
Yeah.
Nixon had shame. He was horrible. He was corrupt, but he had shame. And Trump does not. He just says,
But that's filtered
I think
down
everything
to
is how can I monetize this?
That has filtered down to
Miller.
Congress.
It's Max Miller's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They all
supporters
have
have no shame either. Republican supporters have no shame. So it's more than what happened with Nixon. That's ancient history, and nobody in the Republican Party cares about that at all anymore.
Right.
It's here and now, and what's in it for me, and how do I keep power? That's for the Congress people. But even, everyday Republicans, I just have such a hard time understanding how they have accepted every single thing. The people that I know, before Trump, if a president came out and did that horrible thing with the disabled reporter, they would have been horrified.
That's ancient history too now.
That's ancient history, but
But it didn't matter. You see, that's the point. It should have mattered, and it didn't. And that was the beginning of the things that didn't matter.
But what I'm saying
Really,
is that
right.
the people that I know, I would have told you 100% that it would have mattered to them.
Yes.
Something has happened to them. They are not the same people that I know.
Because I feel
Wow.
like they're uninformed and they're thinking of this like a high school football game or something. It's our team versus their team. And they don't have to know what the teams are doing. They just have to know that this is the team I'm on, ride or die, I'm on this team, and no depth of thought, no interest in following facts, just this is my team.
So
Well,
it's a question,
you've been
yeah.
watching Fox News, so you know
Yes,
that this
thank
is
you. I'm
a
paying the price, Jay.
constant.
I'm doing it for you, so you don't have to.
Thank you so much.
I'm paying the price.
But you know that so
Do you
I can
watch
watch
it?
it. I can watch it for 5 minutes and I get the same
And I
thing.
think I would
It is.
encourage you to try to watch it for longer if you can.
I
That'd be
spent
live.
20 years of my
Oh.
life listening to talk radio. I
Okay,
don't need
but
to do
I
this
do
anymore.
think there are lessons to be learned about how to make a difference. Say what you're gonna say, because then I want to ask Rosemary, what would the Republicans have had to do to get him out, Miller? What could they have done to get him out? Because to me, that's just another insane
The
thing.
same thing we did with Al Franken. You put pressure on him to get
Yeah,
out.
but it didn't work, well, nobody was really.
It did work
It
with
did work.
Democrats.
But I'm
The
saying,
Republicans haven't done
it
it.
always works. Finish what you were gonna say.
So the reason I don't need to do it anymore after a long period of time of listening to this stuff is that I can turn it on for 5 minutes and it's the same thing. What's extraordinary about it is that it is a constant reinforcement of the very things you're talking about. That it's not just the people who live in a bubble, it's that bubble is perpetuating it over and over and over,
Jay,
every
it's the-
minute of
that's
every
right,
day,
and
unless
it's
they
the
turn to
most
sports,
watched
maybe.
Station, as a former broadcaster, I can tell you, you know this, the ratings, take all the cable news networks, they surpass all of them. There are more people for whom that is their main news source.
And it's
So
on
that's how
all the
they're-
time.
All the time,
Yes,
but
all the
think
time.
about that. That's how most of the people are getting their information.
Yes.
And so when he says, oh, let's just dismiss that, that's fake news, the elections, they're corrupt. But when you hear that
Propaganda.
message over and over again, you can turn it off, and I'm.
Jay, I
that's a
have a
good
question for you, two-part question. Where are all the journalists who were left on Air Force One? I haven't seen any of them speak up, number one. Number two, was it really a credible threat? Or was it a stunt?
Well, you're addressing that.
Yeah, the reporting suggested it was a questionable threat.
The CIA says it
On the
was
other
not.
hand, you know, if they were wrong, if the CIA was wrong on
You
it,
can't take the chance.
Well,
right?
did the CIA really say it? I mean, that's the other thing. 'Cause I heard a
Yeah.
program where someone was talking about that Iran would never have made a threat like that.
Mhm.
And for all sorts of reasons I can't go into, but,
Another bot.
so was it really a threat?
Well,
Or was
the-
it a big stunt?
the most credible thing, I don't even think it was a stunt, I think the most
Okay.
credible thing was, remember, they got the tip from Mossad.
Right,
They got the tip from Israel.
Okay,
right.
So
Oh, okay.
Israel
okay, that makes sense.
gets on the good
I
side.
have to disagree because I know it came from Mossad, but Netanyahu is involved with Mossad.
Well, yeah.
And he wants Trump to be afraid, and Trump is terrified, and it plays to his ego.
Right.
I'm the most transformational president in the history of the
He
world,
really is.
and therefore they're after me, and there was a credible threat.
point.
He was really afraid. However, despite all that, despite the fact that I think that he's a coward and didn't ever really be in the military himself, I don't blame him for wanting to get off the plane. I don't see anything wrong with any of that. And if the CIA or the Secret Service thought putting him on a catering cart and shuttling him off was fine, and the journalist's job is to accept the threat. You accept the access to the president, and that means you accept the threat. I would be pissed if I were Marco Rubio.
Or Carolyn Levitt.
Caroline Leavitt.
But the other point, though, is that, you know, why did this come up in the first place? I think that's fascinating. And that's yet to
That's
be-
the point that we didn't even bring it up.
Yeah.
He brought this on himself. If he had been on Air Force One, we would never have had this problem. But he wanted to be on his his corruption plane from Qatar, and that was not ready. And he lied about all of that.